Hi, I've done something just a little bit different this time, and I have prepared a packet for you for the photo analysis. I have started with, I actually have two tables of contents in here, but let's start with this one because this is the one that is going to be due tomorrow, the first half of this packet. So, it's for Monday. Here's the table of contents in case you lose your place somewhere. Of course, the table of contents is on one, and then on page two, you've got creating a new project and saving it to the teacher's inbox. Please do not forget because you might come back and say, well, I have it. Well, did you put it in the proper inbox? It's not done as far as I'm concerned until I can see it. Then also the second half of page two is adding your photo analysis project to Noodle Tools. On page three, you have adding research question and thesis statement. Pages four and five is accessing the Dallas College databases. In other words, finding reliable or credible sources. And then finally, on five and six, you've got saving MLA 9 citations to the Noodle Tools project. So in here, I've got some screenshots I think that will really help you. So let's go on to page two. And we've got the first steps to creating a photo analysis. And of course, this one right here, if you look, creating a new project and saving it to the teacher's inbox, there it is right there on page two, if you need to go back. If you haven't created a new project in Noodle Tools, which many of you have not because you didn't have an inbox to share it to me, so you could have done it, all you need to do is share. You need to do this by Tuesday night, April the 1st at 11:59 p.m. Be sure to submit it to the correct inbox. So, what I have here, if you're in my Monday, Wednesday class from 9:30 to 10:50, then this is going to be your inbox number, SPR 22010. If you are in, I'm going to put that over a little bit. There we go. If you are in the next class on Monday and Wednesdays from 11 to 12:50, let me get that little guy over here. Um, okay, let me do this. Nothing like correcting this when I'm doing it. And you get out at 12:50, well then this is the box that you put yours in, SPR 22002. Notice that I'm putting your section numbers in there. Really get used to that because those go on all of your papers. Okay, and then finally my online class, you are SPR 22702. So go ahead and set up what I'm about to show you, but it doesn't count until and you won't get credit for it if you do not share it. I'm sorry, to the right inbox. There we go. And you are responsible for adding your project to the correct inbox. Do not, I've had some of y'all put this in somebody else's box. You need to know, please, you should know which class you are in. So you're supposed to take care of that. Now, let's go back. Actually, these are kind of out of order, but not really because some of y'all are forgetting to share them with me. Now, let's add your photo analysis project to Noodle Tools. You go to Noodle Tools, you go to new project. This should be your second one. And then you give your project a title, name, which is the name of your photograph and your full name. Then click on Advanced Comprehensive Level right here. Stay logged into your Noodle Tools account because you'll have to use another window because when we get to the database, it's going to tell you that you're not logged into your Noodle Tools, and it could be that you timed out, but nevertheless, it's no biggie to get you back on there. But go ahead and give this a title. So it's the name of your photograph, which might be mine is the vulture and the child, and then mine would be Janine Holland. Okay, those two things must go in your title, and three of y'all, Fortunately, throughout all of my classes, I believe only three, it averaged one per class, did it wrong. Don't do it wrong. You've got this to pay attention to, read over the instructions. Okay, now we're going to go to the next one, which is adding research question and thesis statement. Now, again, this would show up at the table of contents. It's on page 3. Once in your project, return to your project's grade. So once you put this here, then go back to the project page. Okay, and you'll see it. Now click on it again. That's what I'm asking you to do here. Okay, this is, you're going to click on this light bulb right here, and this actually got a little messed up. There we go. Click on the light bulb, and then the box opens over here. Again, you're going to have to put in these boxes two things. Okay. First thing, the research question. So you could use this one if you want to, but you don't all have Kevin Carter. You have different people. So you might have put another photojournalist or photographer's name there instead. And you don't want to use the Sudan either. But what elements does Kevin Carter use to bring this photograph to life for Americans unaware of famine in the Sudan? Okay, so this is very specific to Kevin Carter. And I just happen to know because I've done research on him. That was his main goal. He wanted people in their living rooms to actually feel and see what he's seeing, the flies off of their bodies and all of that. So anyway, that would be your question and see what elements does. All right, so we'll talk about elements later. Then right here, your thesis statement. I said Kevin Carter's provocative depiction of this starving child and an eager predator brought home to Americans what starvation in the Sudan looks and feels like. Carter does this through, among other things, the use of shapes, space, and texture. And you'll have a list of elements that you can go through to use. You need to choose 3 of them for your thesis. So I would go ahead, look at the picture, get an overall feel, and you can always change these 3 things up at the bottom. But you'll have to remember to change them if you do. Okay, so now this part of it is that you've got to go to the little light bulb here, fill in this box, fill in this box. And I should be able to see the vulture and the little girl. I think we have the vulture and the child. This is actually somebody from last year. And then he would have put his name. I think his name was Ulysses Paradis. I think he put his name, or it is after that. So you just can't see all of it there, but yours better have it on it. Okay. All right. Let's go down here. And I wanted you to look at your photo analysis template for just a minute. Now, this isn't the one that you're going to start with because it does have your elements and colors in it. And we'll go over that uh, probably Wednesday. We may have time because I'm giving you a long time to get your homework done on that one. It's not due until Sunday. So yeah, we'll talk about that on Wednesday. So, and I will also add this to this packet. And keep everything together so that you can look at it. So far, there are 2 tables of contents, one for Monday and one for Wednesday, and that way you can kind of keep it all organized. Okay, so if you look, you put your picture there, then you have these subsections or subheaders. It says the photograph and the photographer. It says context and location and observations and the message. This is going to be the one where you put your thesis and your main points, and we'll probably have 5 paragraphs. So this is going to be the biggest part of all of this. And of course, the message, we'll talk about that later, but what does Kevin Carter want you to know? What does he want? Think about your 5 senses. What is he trying to get you to smell, to feel, to hear, to actually sometimes dead silence is the most lethal sound of all. You know what I mean? Anyway, just think about your senses and what are the things that he felt. Why would he go to a barren place like Sudan where there's nothing but death and heat and dust? Why would he do that? He did it actually for us. It was something he wanted to do. And when you look at his history, you'll understand where he was coming from because he was raised in South Africa during apartheid. And if you don't know about apartheid, you should. Anyway, getting back to this. Um, so what is his message? What was his parting message to you? And then over here, oh, this is just the Noodle Tools source page. So I mainly just wanted you to see that if you see these subheaders, there are four of them. Just keep that in mind. Okay. So now let's go here. And now we are on page 4. And it says accessing Dallas College databases, finding reliable sources. Now, let me stop and tell you this right now. Do not use search engines for your sources. Do not. I will count it wrong. So don't go just look up a magazine on Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, Google. No, 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 no. All of your sources must come. It must be one of these three databases that I told you about here. Okay, so to get there, you need to go to Dallas College Database, and I used Yahoo, and I told you there. Okay, and so I put Dallas College Library databases A through Z. Okay, then I pulled it up right there, and this is what I got. And you notice that there is an alphabetical list here. Academic OneFile is something that we use. We also use biography, Gale and context. So we would go to the B, and we would also go to, I have the third one. I'm gonna draw, I think of it as ProQuest, but that's not what it is. I'll show you here in a minute. But go to Academic OneFile first, okay? And click on it, okay? And so that's what I did. And then I actually went to another one because I didn't think y'all would use this one yet. I went to Gale Academic File. This is where I am right here. I went to, oh, it got separated. Okay. All right. So I went to Gale Academic Profile. Okay. This is not the academic one file, by the way, but it'll look like this. So I typed in Kevin Carter's name. So you put your photojournalist or your photographer in there. Okay, let me warn you about something because I don't know why, but let's see. I probably should not. I'm going to take that out. Use magazines. One year I had, well, actually 2 years, I made them use academic journals. And when the librarian at Dallas College found out, she said, "Why are you doing that?" And I said, "Well, they do complain that they're really hard." She said, "Girl, those are difficult even for English teachers. Get them to go to magazines." I said, "Okay." Or they can go, well, let me undo that. You could go use a newspaper. Okay. Those are possibilities, but you have 416 magazine articles that have something to do with Kevin Carter. And I promise you, when you look at some of them, you'll go, excuse me? Who was this supposed to be about? So you're going to have to do some looking in here. Um, and so I used this and then I changed my mind. I did actually go to this article here, and that actually is one of my sources. But you can also use Gale academic files or biography. So I'm telling you what you need to click on there. Okay, yeah, it actually is Gale in context. So this one right here is Gale in context. Okay. So I'm showing you a picture. Okay, so now we're going to, well, let's see, we're still on page 5, I think. Let me see. 5, okay. And that's the beginning of saving MLA 9 citations to source pages on Noodle Tools. Okay. Now, remember earlier I said stay logged into Noodle Tools, and you may have to do it again, but otherwise, this isn't going to work if you're not logged into Noodle Tools. But it's very, very easy to do that if you're not. When you find which source you want to use for your project, find the citation in the article and send it directly to Noodle Tools. So I found an article on Kevin Carter that will be useful in my project. At the bottom of the article, I found the citation. I'm going to export the citation directly to Noodle Tools on the Noodle Tools icon. And I'm going to tell you something. This is the greatest thing since, oh, I hate this, but it is the best thing since sliced bread. Although I like to cut my own fresh bread if it's available. But when you actually get to the article, you can bring it up like this. Now, this happens to be a very, very short article, and unfortunately, I can't do that. Let's see. Okay. Here is the information on it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off of the do. I'm going to go off script for just a second, and this is actually, you can't see it right now. Okay. Well, I hope I didn't mess that up, but I'm actually going live here, and I went to Gale in context, and I'm on the page right now. So sometimes you'll see the citations over in here. That's not the case here. You're going to scroll down and you're going to make sure it's MLA ninth edition, which it's defaulted to that, but just always make sure that's what it says. Do you see the Noodle Tools icon here? Okay, good. I want you to tell it that you want to export it there to your Noodle Tools. Now, I'm glad it did this because what it told me to do is that I was not logged in. We all know I was logged in, but whatever. Just X out of that. You're not going to lose anything. And then I'm going to, and see, you can tell I actually was logged in, but that's okay. Okay, now I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to try it again. Click on that. And you notice I have a drop down menu. I've got the vulture and the little boy. I've got a bunch. Now you'll see whatever yours is, and then you'll also see your literary analysis. Do make sure that you chose the one that you're in now. Then you're going to hit import, and then I guess you import, okay. And then I'm going to get out of that and I'm going to go back to my Noodle Tools. Okay. So when I get to my Noodle Tools, I've actually got it in there several times, but let me go back over here to mine. I'm going to sign in. You shouldn't have to do all this. Okay. All right. How many times do I have him? Okay, this is the latest one. Okay, so I'm gonna have to take these other ones out because I think I used this to show y'all my screenshot. So it should only be in there one time. But notice I put some other things in there and it alphabetically will alphabetize it. And you're going to love it because at the end, and I'll show you this later, you can print out your works cited and just copy and paste it to your paper. It's just This almost feels like cheating to me because I'm a child of the 70s where we had to type everything and space it. Oh, it was wild. Okay, now you can replay this if you're not really sure what all I did. But let's go back over here. Okay, now I need to get into, I'm going to stop sharing this for just a moment so I can get back where I need to go. Okay, so I actually did the rest of it, but again, I hope this is, I think it's showing. Let me look. Oh, I paused. Get you back on the share button. Okay, you cannot minimize. Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, so this is what I did for you live. So you really don't need to see this, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. Let me make it, it's telling me I can't minimize stuff on here. Okay, I showed you where that was and how you go to the icon and you say to import it, and it may tell you you're not logged in. Well, then just close that little box, make sure you're logged in. You may not even have to log in again, and then get on back, go back to that. Um, I'm sorry, go back to that source. In this case, it's in Gale in context, and then it should let you do all of that. And make sure you're putting it in your photo analysis, not the literary analysis. All right, so this was another one that I did. Okay, so that's your assignment, and I'll go over that here in just a second for you. But this is on page 6, and some of y'all really, 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 you're writing saying, "Is there anything I can do in advance? Is there anything I can do?" Well, yeah, sure. Now tomorrow is Cesar Chavez's birthday, and so we are off for a federal holiday. And Wednesday, I plan on us all meeting up there, except for my online classes. So my Wednesday morning people be there on time. Okay. Um, but this is a sneak preview, and if you want to try to get ahead, that's okay too. Now, here is a second table of contents, and this one's for Wednesday, and it starts on page 7. Actually, I should have put that this was page 7. 7. Okay. And actually, this starts on 8 to 10. Sorry. Okay. Thank y'all for letting me do this. Creating note cards. Okay. So, what I did screenshots. In this assignment, it's due Sunday night at 11:59. You must have 3 to 5 sources on your sources page. Now, you just saw how we put that one, the Kevin Carter one on there. You've got to do that 2 more times. Now, want to warn you, if you have Kevin Carter, do not use what I use. Do not. I will say it's wrong. I'll let you use it later, but for this first assignment, no. Okay. That could be maybe your fourth one. You got to have at least 3, no more than 5 sources. Okay. So you're going to create your note cards here and begin with this list here. The first source on the list is this one, and I believe it's that same one that we just did. Note that the article is helpfully divided into subheaders. This might be a different one. I need to look. Um, Boy, if you can get an article like this, sometimes it's good to go to an encyclopedia. And yes, we do have those, but it's pretty plain vanilla. But if you're really needing something, you can do that. The thing I like about encyclopedias, whatever research you're doing for whatever class you're doing, it's really good about dividing your article into subheaders, and it helps you organize your paper. And sure enough, this one here has got background, early life, struggles and successes, and death. Okay, so it's already chopped it up into four subsections. So, but I'm saying do not discount everything that comes. See, like from here on down to right before background, don't discount that. In other words, don't disregard it. Look at it because we can get two cards off of that before we even get to background, or at least one. Um, it says if you look, and let me see if it'll make it bigger for me. Ugh. Okay, if you look, it does give us some information. He was born September 13th, 1960, and he died July 27th, 1994. He was born and died in Johannesburg, South Africa. Naturally, he's South African. His occupation is a photojournalist. Now, not all of these people are photojournalists, but he made a living out of it. Okay, so that tells me a lot of things right there. Then look at this paragraph before we even got to background. It says Kevin Carter was a photojournalist known for photographing the effects of war and famine in South Africa. He was most famous for a photograph he took of a hungered, weakened African toddler with a vulture perched near the child. The photo earned Carter the 1994 Pulitzer Prize. He died shortly after receiving the prize. That's why I'm saying you could get a couple of cards out of this, and I haven't even gone to the background part. Okay. So look over here. So, and then I'm explaining that to you right here. So click on new note card. Click on that, and a blank card will appear. And then if you want to go back to page 3 of this document, specifically to the photo analysis template, the observation section, in this section you will state your thesis, which contains 3 elements you have chosen to support the message or thesis of your argument. Write your research and thesis now if you forgot to do it in the earlier part, and refer to it often during your research. You want to do that because some kids will get off the topic. So stay on that. So on the research question, I put these same ones that we had. Okay, we've already kind of gone over that. And this is the same one as earlier. Okay, now give your card a title. So this one is photograph and photographer. So I would type in here photograph and photographer. Okay. Now, also, have I said this one yet? Okay. You've got it says right here, source, and you click over here on the right and there's a drop down. This is why you need to put all of your authors in there. You have to have 3 to 5. Now, okay, let's say you had 3 and later you go, oh, I really need to put this one in. That's fine, but you got to be sure to use it and it's going to be on the drop down menu. In this case, I'm using Kevin Carter from Gale Biography. So I'm going to click on that from my drop down. I only have 2 sources right now, but I should have at least 3. So you have to have at least 3. Okay, so I am putting Kevin Carter there. Okay, so first put the note card title. That becomes very, very important because you're going to have a pile that says photograph and photographer. This has both of them on it, but just put photograph and photographer. You're going to have one that says context and location, and you're going to have another pile that says observations, and another one that says message. Okay. So be sure to put, and all of the titles of the cards have to be different. Okay. So photograph and photographer, and then click on the author who you're getting the information from. Okay, and then the screen below explains why you must input all of your sources, which I just did. I will choose the biography source because I'm writing my notes. Okay, so I chose that. I'm basically repeating this, except for this. All right, now there are 3 parts to this card. One is a quote, one is a paraphrase, One is your own original thinking. The so what? Why is this important? What does it mean to me? That, okay? So let's go to, uh, hold on just a sec. Okay. So, oh goodness, okay. Hold on just a sec. Okay. I'm trying to do two things at once here. I'm going to go and I'm going to start with this. Now, this one you can copy and paste from the source. Okay. Two things you need to watch when you do that. Eventually, you're going to have to change the font back to Times New Roman 12. Everything is submitted in Times New Roman 12 and it is double spaced. And where there are paragraphs, you tab over the first line of each new paragraph. Okay, having said that, I went over and I copied and pasted this from what we were just talking about. Now, it does say he was most famous for a photograph he took of a hunger weakened African toddler with vulture perched near the child. The photo earned Carter the 1994 Pulitzer Prize. Now, I went ahead and put the in-text citation there. There is no page number. Notice I did not put a period after the E on prize. I saved that until after the last parenthesis right here. That's where the sentence ends. Okay, so that's what I put there. Now, what do the brackets mean? Well, I'm glad you asked me because the original quote said he was most famous. But since you don't know who I was talking about, I put his name in brackets, Kevin Carter, but it really said he. I can get away with that because it says yes, while I have quotations here that, well, actually, I made a mistake here. Okay, hold on. I should have put a quotation there. While I'm quoting him, I changed something. That way I don't get in trouble for plagiarism. Okay? Now, that's my quote. So I'm going to just paste it there. Now, over here, I have to paraphrase it, say it in my own words. So this I had to do in my own words. And you judge, did I say the same thing as he said over here? Okay. It said Kevin Carter's most famous picture, which earned him the 1994 Pulitzer Prize, poignantly, excuse me, in a very, very almost provocative, specific way, brings the reality of famine in the Sudan to Americans through the emaciated body of this child. Okay, you might say, all right, wait, it didn't say Sudan, it said African. Okay, if you want to do that, let's do it. Make it a little bit more specific. So I'm going to change this though to Africa. How's that? If you go back and you look at them, they're saying the same thing. So this I'm going to write in my own words there. Okay, then you answer several questions in this last one that shows your own thinking. So what? Why is this important? How does it apply to me? How does it apply to the bigger picture of life? Okay. And this is what I put. Photojournalists like Carter bring firsthand experiences to the millions of people who have read about horrific happenings in the world, but have not truly grasped the gravity or how serious of the situations until they are captured in photos. Oftentimes, though, people do not consider the personal price these photojournalists pay to shoot this information. To Carter, his passion for reporting tragedies in photographs most likely ended his life much too soon. So here, yes, I'm talking about what he did. He made pictures so they could go into the living rooms and bathrooms of people when they're looking at their magazines and really get gripped by how bad it is. You can count that baby's ribs. And then that why is all of this important? It's important because you and I normally don't go traveling from continent to continent. I think I've only been on one, North America, because I've been to Mexico. No, 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 no. I've been to Europe. Okay. But I was an old woman then. So this we how do we know these? How can we have an intelligent conversation with somebody about famine and all that? Because we see pictures of this and we're knowledgeable about it. Okay, without us having to hop a plane and go over someplace. Okay, so also what we haven't done yet, we haven't covered background, early life struggles and successes, and death. We haven't even covered that. That's all before we got to background. So we got at least one card out of it. Okay, then you could go and do the others. Okay, these are the major sections that you're going to have to cover here. And notice that I put photographer and photograph. Okay, photograph, and then just write something about the photograph. So your card would be called photograph dash when taken. And the next one, photograph dash what happened after photo was taken, because that's an interesting story too. Context and location. Maybe you're going to do two context cards on that, but they all start with context and location because that's going to be a stack. You're going to put them all in. Okay. Observations, the shapes. So you might choose texture. So do two on texture, two on space, two on something else. Okay. And then I will give you more information on the message because that should be pretty easy to do. But these are the major things that I need for you to do. All right, one more thing, and then I'm going to let you go. This is what you're going to do for this week. So, to put all that in perspective, read pages 1 through 6 of that photo analysis packet. That's just what we went over, only we went over the whole thing. Complete the following on Noodle Tools. I'm going to check your Noodle Tools for this, okay? If you have not shared it with me, then you're in deep, deep trouble. Okay, complete a new project and save your project to the teacher's inbox. Go over all those steps in the packet. Add your research question and thesis statement to your new project. Find just one reliable source. Now, the Kevin Carter one, do not, if you have him, you cannot use the one that I used from Gale. But I would go to Academic Online. Yeah, online. I can't remember, but I would go to them online, which was the first example I gave you under accessing the Dallas College Library database. Okay, and I'm reminding you, don't use that source I used that was called Kevin Carter. Okay, and then save your source to your Noodle Tools project. So you can see that all of this is due Tuesday. It sounds like a lot, but it's not. So basically, set up your photo analysis, have your research question, your thesis statement, one source, either from academic one file, that's what it's called, Gale in context or biography Gale. Okay, has to come there. You cannot get it from the search engine. Do not use Yahoo. Do not use Google Scholar. Don't use any of those. Only Dallas College database. Okay, then we still read over 7 through 11, but read it again. And this is what's going to be due on Sunday 3 to 5 sources, 10 note cards. Okay. And then be sure to see that page 11, that last one, and it was all the possible titles you might give them. But remember, they're going to have stack names. You're going to have a stack that's called photograph and photographer. You're going to have one that is context and location, and then put things under it. Just in your mind, think this way. Roman numeral 1 is photograph and photographer, or photographer and photograph. Roman numeral 2, context and location. Roman numeral 3, your stack will be observations, and that's going to be your biggest paragraph. And then Roman numeral 4, finally, that's your message. Okay? So here this is. This will all be in bright space for you to look at. I do want to say one more thing. I forgot to open until somebody asked me where she's supposed to put it. Remember, you had an assignment for colors and shapes that was due tonight? It's now open. And I actually put it on week 9, but it's actually March 30th, which is really week 10, but I put it under week 9. Okay, so get those turned in tonight. If you have any questions, let me know tomorrow. I am finished with one class and I'm partially about maybe a third of a way through one of the classes, and I have one more to go after that. So hopefully I'll have it all done by tomorrow night and you'll know what you got on your essay or your literary analysis. Have a great evening. Let me know if you have any questions, and I guess that's it. Thank you.